Hey folks, happy Friday morning. I'm going to run through some Palpatine BladeStyles for you right now. Some I've had on the shelf for a while, and I always meant to do some demos for, but just never got around to it. So yeah, let's do some Sith BladeStyles. So these first two are from KSith. It's the Senate, the ROTS version, and the Clone Wars version.
Now you will experience the full power of the dark side.
So this is dropping into an audioflicker red blade. Using waves for the clashes, and then I'm using a multi for the blasts. So using responsive blast fades and blast waves. A nice fat bump in the lockup. I'm using an azure, white, and blue mix on the lightning block. Here's the force effect.
I'm too weak. Oh, don't kill me, please.
And the force effect will toggle an unstable state, which I've seeded in a series of darker reds. So these are all reds that are going like 128 down to 75, down to 50, and I think down to 30, I think. So the blade will go much darker on this one. And then you can toggle it back off by hitting the force effect again.
The dark side of the force.
And then you're back to a clean blade. And then this is the Clone Wars version.
Darth Sidious.
And on the Clone Wars version, I'm using a little bit more orange in the ignition setup, in the ignition phase. And this is dropping into a, it's either, actually the first one might have been a ProffieOS5. Let me double check. One of them's a ProffieOS5 and the other one's an audio. Oh, so the first one was a humpflicker. It's hard to tell because the sound font has a really soft hum, so the blade doesn't flicker as much. So this one, and then this one drops into an audio flicker. So it's using the same color set for all of the effects, the flashes and blasts, and the lightning block. So those four sets, those four functions are all the same between both BladeStyles. There's the force effect.
You have become a rival.
So this blade pair, really the only difference is the main blade. First one's a humpflicker, then this one's a humpflicker. All of the other effects are pretty much the same. I like doing sets of blades like that sometimes, especially when I'm like thinking about doing similar blade styles for a lot of different fonts for the same character. Love that laugh at the end. Okay, so this next one is the EternalEmperor from KSith.
The one true Emperor.
And this is an unstable pulse blade.
The Jedi are dead!
It's a glitch prion. It's a white unstable power-up. This drops into an unstable pulse. And this is using a darker red. So I'm using four ranges of red on this main blade. I'm using a 128, an 80, a 50, and then I think a 30. So it's running just a little darker than a standard red. Adjust the camera a little bit so I can do some full swings.
It is your birthright to rule.
I love this pulse blade style. It's a little bit more busy than an audio flicker, but not nearly as rambunctious as like a flame blade or a saw. And there's a little cool off there. This is Darkness, and this is more of a standard sort of vanilla-ish flame blade. I added an unstable power-up that's using whites and reds, and it's using localized, randomly placed clashes. And then that's the more traditional unstable effects you get from like your sort of average flame blade. I'm using a gradient pulse at the end for a stab. Multi-blast. And this lockup I'm using a brown noise flicker to get a little bit more of that color mixture and that grittiness in there. And it's doing a mixture again of the white, blue, and then an azure, which is sort of a very, very, very light blue, like almost a white blue mix. using the same unstable white-red color mixture effect on the power down, on the retraction, as I use on the ignition. So the next one is Emperor from Kyberphonic. And this is an orange-red audio flicker blade.
Now you will experience the full power of the dark side.
So I'm using 2 ranges of orange there, so I'm using a lighter orange on the overload preon, and then on the ignition I'm using a slightly darker orange, which then drops into an orange-red main blade. And this is audio flicker. Using a little bit more aggressive of a lockup for this one. So it's got like almost a full slide. It's like a 9,000 millisecond melt size. Usually those standard sizes for like tip drag or melt is usually between like 3 to 5,000. And occasionally I make a little bit longer ones.
Now you will experience the power of the dark side.
So on this one, I'm also doing a red unstable flame blade on this fire swing. But on the orange red main blade, it has a little bit neater of an effect because it's sort of switching the colors. So you're going from an orange red to a red on the swing. Kind of like what I did for the Traveler. Bring the toggles back off.
Now you will experience the full power of the dark side.
And then a standard retraction. There's nothing on the...
You ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
So this is going to be another red audio flicker blade. This is more of a standard red, but I'm doing a really, really fast power up bright white ignition on this one. So this one, what I've done is I set the wipe in, or excuse me, the wipe out value. I think it's either, yeah, I set it to 200, so it's wiping out really, really quick. And then I'm using like Navajo white on the flashes to give it a little bit more of that yellow effect, or that yellow color. And then on the lockup color, the main color is white, but I'm using that same Navajo white to give a little bit of yellow for the transition. So I'm transitioning on the begin and end of lockup. So it goes yellow in the middle, in the transition, and then white in the middle, then yellow again when it comes out.
I thought not. Sorry, the Jedi would tell you.
And I kept the swing on this one pretty clean. The force effect basically gives you that Kylo Rage effect briefly for about 5 seconds. But after that, it doesn't do anything additional on the swing. It just adds like an additional audio flicker layer on the swing.
I thought not.
Oh, it's not even doing the rage. I kept it completely clean. Cool. And then it's doing that same bright power down on the retraction. And I may actually speed up the retraction on this one to make it almost as snappy as the ignition. But let me show you the ignition again, because it's really quick. And I may even make it faster, because I like that burst of white light. That's kind of neat. Next one is Empress from KSith.
Empress Palpatine.
This is going to have a lightning strike pre-on. Which turns to orange red on the base, then drops into an orange red energy saw with blast clash waves. And then blast waves as well. I also adjusted the TR fade value for the lockup on this one to be just a little longer, so that transition white color hangs on just a hair longer, like a couple of more hundredths of a second than the normal ones I do. So you can tell it's just a little longer. Like that residual glow. And then this one, I'm also doing a summon and a summon and then a release. Which then brings up an emitter flare that is like orange red or dark orange for like 5 or 6 seconds, and then it dissipates. So you release the flare. And then it comes up again, and then it will go back down in a few seconds. Here's the force effect. Post-off sound. It's so cool. Yeah. It actually looks like there's a spark tip on these, but there isn't. It's just really bright.
Supreme Leader.
This is SupremeLeaderVII from KSith, and this is an orange red hyperstable or hypersensitive unstable blade.
You must die.
Very small movement on the blade gives you that unstable effect. I think you've seen me demo this blade style before in different colors. I think I've done one in a blue, a green, a pink, and a standard red. But I had to do this one for Snoke for this sound font. Just seems to match the sound of this font really well. There's my stab. here's the force effect.
You have the spirit. True Jedi. My disappointment in your performance can be overstated. For you, all is lost.
And then that one's using just a standard ignition retraction. And then let's see, the next one is SenateMajority. I think this sound font was from Shameem originally.
I am the Senate.
And this is a randomPerLEDFlicker blade that's using four different shades of red. I'm using like a 200, 100, 75, and a 50. It's a little hard on these per flicker LEDs. They're actually a lot harder to tell the difference between, like, say, an audio flicker on camera. In person, this blade style is a little bit more visually satisfying for me, but it's hard to show you the difference of them on camera until you swing it. But its resting state, it doesn't look much different than like an audio flicker. Because on the swing, you get just a mild unstable effect, just a mild one, which I really like. I like the aesthetic of that. I think I'm adding a fire swing on top of that off the force effect, which I toggle on and off.
It's treason, then.
I think that might be the last one. Is there another one?
The might of the final order will soon be ready.
It's Return of the Sith from BlueForce.
I will give you so much more. The what? Empress, supremely. I am. The might of the final order will soon be ready. My faithful. Nothing will stop the return of the Sith.
This is a red-yellow stripe. And then I actually changed this one just tonight as I was prepping for this demo. Originally it had a much slower wipeout, but I decided to make it a lot faster to get that ignition white effect a lot brighter, almost like a burst. And in this lockup, I'm actually using a combination of just like a lemon chiffon and a black. I'm using a lot of black in this lockup. You can see it because of you can see the bump, it kind of has a dent right in the middle. Love the blast and clash sounds in this thing. Everything is just so explosive. So, let's see, I think that might be it.
I will give you
Oh wow, there's another one.
much more.
There's more on here than I thought there was. Okay. This is a fun one. So this is Exegol from BlueForce. And this is I think this is one of my more favorite BladeStyles that I've done recently.
What could you give me?
Silver overlay.
Everything.
So this is coming up into an erratic, unstable flame blade. Running an emitter flare on it. I don't do emitter flares a whole lot on red blades. Every once in a while. And using that yellow transition color again for lockup. And keeping the main lockup color like a whiter color. So in this one, I'm doing that that summon and then hilt release again. Except here, instead of letting that be silver, I changed it to an orange-red. And then what I do after that is I switch up the blade effect off of that hilt summon release. It turns it into a brighter orange swing. Let me show you that again. So there's the release, and then the blade brightens up on the swing. Much more like a much brighter orange. And then that goes for like 10 or 15 seconds. And then when that's done, it drops back into the red unstable pulse blade. So what was interesting for me about doing this one up is because I did sort of the flame blade and the swing on the main blade, and then the force effect actually triggers a simpler blade. Where the goal there was really to just give it like a slightly enhanced, brighter swing, but a more simple one. and then it has that bright white power down, which I then make sure and match that color with the emitter flare, so that when it comes all the way back down,
What could you give me?
it's sort of like a
Everything.
pattern closing. So there's that bright white on the ignition with the spark tip. You've got the emitter flare, and then you close it up. And then you just like to make sure that those colors combine. So that's sometimes why I'll do a white emitter flare versus like a red or an orange red emitter flare. Especially if I'm doing like a bright white power down. I want that power down color to match the emitter flare color. Just sort of like one of those weird things. So I think that is
Battery power level.
yeah, so that is the set. Those are my Palpatine styles. So thank you for watching. I know this was a long video, but I will make sure and time splice them all. So if folks want to just come in and watch like a particular one, they can just jump right to it. They don't have to watch the whole thing. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and may the Force be with you. All right, take care.